Hey there YouTube, hope you guys are doing great. In today's video, we're going to talk about what the heck has happened in this entire market around us. Bitcoin losing about 40% of its value. What gives? What happened here? And a little bit more than that, because you guys know me. I'm going to give you some encouragement of how I'm handling it and how you should handle it too. Some tips, some thoughts from someone who's been down this road at least 3 or 4 major times. So you don't want to miss this. Some great news and some things you need to hear coming right up. All right, my YouTube friends, thank you guys so much for joining today. We're gonna have a really good discussion around what's happening in the market dynamics and what to do about it. But couple things before we get started. First of all, thank you to my sponsor, Bitcoin 2022 Conference. Use the code WES10, it's WES10 when you sign up. Here's a link for you to get into that. You're gonna get 10% off your registration. So why the heck would you not use that? I can't wait to see you guys there. It's going to be an absolute blast. Second thing, I have an awesome interview coming up with Dan from Exidio coming up on Monday. You guys don't want to miss that. Check it out. You're going to see a link so you can reserve yourself into that. It is a completely awesome, fun, free YouTube live discussion with what Dan's got going on with Exidio and how all that kind of maps into this world of secret network. And I've been talking a lot about that in this channel. So really excited to interview Dan and hear more of his thoughts of what's going on in his world. Thirdly, don't forget down below is the donate button for the Mayfield Tornadoes. Many of you guys have joined and given to that. I want to say thank you. I too have given this. This goes to Caravan of Hope, an awesome charity that is boots on the ground helping with the recovery in Mayfield, Kentucky. Many of you guys know I used to live very close to Mayfield and actually worked in Mayfield. And the bank I actually worked at is pretty much destroyed. And it's not just the bank, right? It's much more than that. It's the people that have been displaced and those that have lost lives. And so I want you to consider giving, even if it's $5. Give up the Starbucks for a day and give to this charity down below. I really appreciate it. And thirdly, would you hit the like button? It really goes a long way. Subscribe if you haven't already done it, but that makes a huge difference for this channel because the algorithm does what the algorithm's gonna do. And without you hitting the like button, it is not gonna carry us as far. So please do that for me. All right, so let's jump right in. So probably the best way for us to get started is just to look what's happened since January 5th and 6th. The big things all kind of collided at once. This article right here from CoinDesk talks about how Bitcoin fell below $43,000, leading to 800 million in crypto liquidations. So liquidations aren't great. And we know that they happen both in the stock world and, of course, in crypto for those that were trading in futures positions. It happens when an exchange forcibly closes your position, just as a safety mechanism that gets kicked in. And so we saw over $800 million all this week closed due to liquidation. And so I think for at least those people, they didn't see this coming. They didn't see this happening, and it certainly is not a good position to be in. We also see the Bitcoin greed and fear index shift all the way over to fear. So we're certainly seeing that this is not a good position for the market, clearly. So what's happening here? Let's talk a little bit more about that. One of the beginning impetus for all this happened on January 5th, just this Monday, when we saw a steep decline in Bitcoin prices. And all of this happened with some news that happened at the Fed cycles. Take a look at this article here from CoinDesk, and we'll see some more information about this. They're talking about how Bitcoin fell to, at least at the 5th, 1-month lows at about $43,000 in its overall price as the Fed begins to talk about shrinking the balance sheet. Now, what exactly does that mean? What does that mean when we say the Fed is getting ready to shrink the balance sheet? Well, we know for a long time we've been struggling with inflation. I've even talked about it some here on my channel. We know that inflation has really gone rampant here in the States and really across the world, and this is a problem that needs to be solved. This inflation didn't happen accidentally. There's a lot of economics and politics even that go into all of this, that most of that I stay outside the bounds of this channel. But a couple things I think I can safely say is this. One of the areas where inflation happened was simply because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we saw, at least here in the US, the Fed continuing to inject a ton of money into the system to keep things alive. We call this a stimulus. And so if you think as basic economics, what most people do is they say, well, if we're injecting a bunch of money in to stimulate and keep the the economy going when everyone's lost their jobs and there's total economic upheaval? Well, if that stabilizes the economic position because we're injecting a bunch of cash, it makes cash less valuable, right? That's basic economics. It doesn't take a wizard to understand any of that. But then for investors like myself and probably many of you, you think, well, how do I escape this inflation? If I'm storing that same money in the bank today, post-inflation, post-injection of all of this cash from the stimulus, it's worth less money. I mean, again, basic economics. If we print more money, that money is worth a whole lot less. And so we begin to think, well, how do I make investments into things that are going to beat inflation? I certainly can't keep it in a bank and keep it in a CD earning 2%. So you have to think of alternative methods and means by which you can store your capital so that you don't have to go, you're not as affected by inflation. In fact, the value of those assets might even grow way past inflation. And so what are some of those things? Things typically that you'd see like stocks, real estate, and crypto are three huge things. Those are in fact all three things that I personally invest in. I really need to talk more on this channel about what I do with real estate, what I do with stocks, but I think at a higher level we see most people, both retail investors like you and me and institutions, saying Bitcoin and crypto as a whole is a great hedge against this inflation, so let's go and put our reserves into this and let's protect ourselves against all of this. And that's exactly what happened. Take a look at this data right here from Fred. Look what you see here, some pretty staggering things that stand out to me. So first of all, we see a couple initial huge jumps that happened here, right? We saw in the 2008, 2009 financial collapse, which we know what happened there with all the mortgage-backed lending, all the stuff that happened there. Look at this. We see it completely skyrocket. Then inflation begins to grow, but through 2015 to 2018 really tapers off. So for the first time in a long time, that whole money printer that goes brrr finally calmed down for a bit. But then you see right here, taking back up in 2020, look at this, a meteoric rise in inflation that happened from the cash injections through the stimulus plan that the Fed thought was the only way to get us through this monumental pandemic. And this is the cause. This is what we're seeing. And so the Fed came back this week and announced, hey, I think we're going to calm some of this down. I think we're going to buy back and we're going to go through some exercises to reduce all of this extra capital that's sitting around, or really all this extra money is the best way to say it, that's sitting around, and finally calm down this inflation problem. So how does that tie back into crypto falling down in price? Hear me, I'm certainly not saying that is the only driver, but I think it's safe to say it's a primary driver of what's happening here. Simply because if the Fed says, hey, we're going to start clamping down on inflation, then all of a sudden interest rates are going to go up. All of a sudden we're going to have these alternative investments that people are making that are a hedge against that inflation not become as valuable. And so what do we see people do? They sell their positions. They know, oh, these things are going to go down in value because of what's happening across the board with what the Fed is getting ready to move on. And so now is a time to sell. And that's exactly what we saw happen in the crypto market. Also, if you want to read more about this, there's a ton of opportunity for you to do this. Take a look at this article right here. You see this hawkish Fed signals that it may have to raise rates sooner to fight inflation. This is exactly what we're talking about here, right? So all of a sudden the policy changes, a tight job market. All of a sudden we think that the economy may be coming back and getting better again. We see employment rates beginning to, or I should say unemployment rates beginning to go down because jobs are being filled. And so the Fed thinks now is the time to clamp down. So I'll post these links in the description down below so you can take a peek at all of those, and definitely give that a look because it'll give you some more insights for you to make your own wise financial decisions on what's going on around us. So where are we at today? Well, I'll tell you this, Bitcoin down close to $40,000 at the time of me making this video, and it may go down further. We know that there's resistance typically at like that $40,000 level. We'll see if it goes down below that, but there's a lot of frameworks and things to think about that I think can help you if you're going through this position. I'm gonna give you some of that. First of all, just know that you're gonna see news articles like this one come out, is Bitcoin a bubble? If I had $1 for every major news article or news agency that simply has copy pasta of is Bitcoin a bubble, and they simply wait for the mechanics of crypto going down by 10 to 20% over a period of time, and they jump in and say, print that article, reprint that article, get the ad clicks, get it out there. This happens all the time. So is Bitcoin a bubble? Well, I think it depends on how you view it. If you view it as a bubble because it's gone down 30 to 40% over this few weeks' time, then sure, it's a bubble. If you understand that crypto as a whole is worth far more than that, and its long-term goal, while as volatile as it might be, can go far higher than that, then it's hard to really think that it's a bubble. I'm certainly one of those people that believe in the technology and the life-changing power that cryptocurrency has, both as an investment and as a technology. So I'm bullish in the long term. I think anyone that's reasonable is going to come back and say, well, yeah, we're in a bear market right now. How long that bear market lasts may not be as pronounced as some might think. And so you're going to see a lot of these articles coming out that are simply hating on Bitcoin because they know they're controversial and they know they're going to get clicks. So what do we do about these kinds of things? Well, first of all, you guys know in my channel, I even have t-shirts that say this, we hold fast, right? You have a few decisions that you can make. One of those is you can sell your positions. If you say, hey, I'm going to tax loss harvest, especially here in the States, and you say, it's now better for me to make those decisions. I've made some investments. They didn't go over so well, but this is a good chance for me to do some tax loss harvesting, then maybe you can sell your positions. Don't be emotional over these things. So that makes sense for some people. Also, maybe you're one of those that say there are some cryptos that are actually performing well through all of this. Osmosis and Luna are two that I can think of. Maybe it's your decision to go and move some of those assets into other better performing cryptocurrencies or even moving into stable coins. Now, I can't tell you what to do. I'm just a YouTuber. So if you listen to me, you're going to go broke. That's why I'm not giving you advice over exactly what to do in these positions. I'm just giving you options. Option one is you can sell your position. Option two is you can move into other cryptocurrencies that you think will be better for you. Third thing you can do is you can simply hold fast. Many crypto investors on the retail side are simply those that invest and hold and wait. And when you do those kinds of things, when you have these big dips, it may be a good time to actually buy back in and get better positions for when the market goes back up, if you believe that's going to happen. But overall, a hold fast strategy, or what some people call all the diamond hands, there's nothing wrong with that if you're willing to hold through the long term. So, what can you do about this? I want to speak to you specifically if you're one of those hold fasters, right? Don't be emotional over these things. Oftentimes when we get emotional, that's where the mistakes come in. Emotion leads to rash decisions, which are almost always a mistake. So think about that. Secondly, what can you do? Literally, go take a walk. Go exercise. Go get your eyes off the charts. Commit to saying, I'm not going to look at the charts except for maybe once every 2 days. Like, if it's hurting you and it's causing you emotional stress and harm, go get away from it. Go separate yourself out of it. That's why I'm filming this outside, by the way. Today here in Tampa, the weather is incredible. Maybe you're somewhere where it's like freezing cold up north. Bundle up, get outside, and go do something. That's a huge thing. Go talk to some friends, get coffee with somebody, get out of the crypto space for a while. I will tell you, just as someone that's been in this for a long time, it can be toxic. It can be something that consumes you, that you get into arguments with people over it, especially online. There's competition across the board for people. And we simply look at people like this YouTubers, especially, that are always projecting this sign of strength. Have you noticed most of the major crypto influencers that are out there never actually show you their pocketbook? They never actually show you what they're buying. They can't actually prove to you all of these top cryptos that they invested in that are going to blow up. They're 2021 and they didn't. Notice how they never come back and say, well, I made some mistakes on this one. Maybe I have no clue what I'm talking about. So they project this confidence, they project this success, when in reality, they're no more or no less successful across the board than you and I. So separate yourself from all of this, and I promise it'll go a long way. I hope this has been helpful, both some advice from my side of the camp and some brief explanations of what's going on. And of course, we know there are more things that are happening. You look at Kazakhstan, for example, I really didn't even mention that, shutting down the internet, getting rid of crypto mining. They're the #2 crypto mining country in the world. We did see hash rates go down from all of that, but we have patterns to see how those things affect the market. Do I think it pulled it down even further? Of course I do. But we saw that happen in China, and we'll see those things continue to happen from one country to another. And so certainly there can be multiple things that are kind of adding in, causing this market to drop so far down. But those are a couple explanations, but I think much larger than that. Just some encouragement to kind of think through how to get through these events, because I promise you, if you step away it'll take you a really long way. I hope this has been helpful to you. Make sure you leave some comments, hit the like button. It really goes a long way. The algorithm values it. Hit the like button, share this with your friends, and until next time, my friends, I will see you later. Thanks.